Hello, welcome to another new episode of the Fawn Pod, the Fawncast. It's friends occasionally not disagreeing. It's the podcast that, much like Pedro Pascal, wants to be your cool, slutty daddy. I'm Brett, here today with Cody and Dan to talk about the second season of The Last of Us, which just wrapped up this week on HBO. But first, let's hear what you guys have been up to this last week or whatever.
Dan, would you like to go first? You want me to go first?
I'll make it quick because I've just been busy doing house stuff, and the kittens I've been talking about we gave up for adoption today, so that is suddenly freeing up a lot of my time, so I could finally catch up on some things.
Yeah. Nice. That was very succinct. Okay. Over here, what have I been doing? We kicked off a little health challenge, so we've been trying to eat a little bit better this week with a group on Facebook that we put together, and also I've been doing a lot of outside work, mulching and landscaping. I was digging up sod all day today, and was not on my original plan, but I'm now renting a giant dumpster that's coming to the house Monday. I don't know where they're going to put it because my driveway is still full of about 10 yards of the 20 yards of mulch that I ordered. So we're getting a little crazy out here, but I just realized it would take me forever to get rid of all the sod chunks that I have in the backyard, and I'm willing to pay for it to just be gone and done with, basically. So I'm installing a garden. I guess I didn't say that, but that's what I'm digging up all the grass for. A raspberry patch, if you will.
I assume bodies, but
actually, I didn't take a picture of it, I don't think, but I usually find something when I'm digging because I've put in so many gardens in this backyard. And not today, yesterday though, when I was digging, like the third or fourth shovel, I hit something, and I was like, "What is this?" And I dug it up, and it was a like really rusty old pair of scissors. That was just like 3 inches below the grass, and I was like, "What's the story on these? Like, why are these here?" And I mean,
Yeah,
how do you get scissors below the grass? I don't know. It was weird. So yeah, I actually have those laying on some rocks out there. I forgot those were out there. But
that is unusual.
beyond all that, I really haven't had a lot of time to play video games. I should because I'm on summer break now. But the other thing I will say, because I haven't been on the podcast, I don't think since the news broke of the Wheel of Time, but I have started continuing my watch through of Peaky Blinders so that I can get my Natasha O'Keefe fix in some form. If I can't have her as Lanfear, I will have her there. So that's been, I don't know, it's a fucked up show. I don't know if you guys watch Peaky Blinders or not, but it's a pretty fucked up show. So this episode that just came on had Tom Hardy's semi-recurring character of like the Jewish guy who's always like, "The Peaky fucking Blinders," it's good stuff. So, but anyway, that's what I've been up to. How about you, Brett?
Good. I actually didn't know she was on that show. We've watched like,
she's not.
oh well, then it'll be a surprise for me. We watched like 3 or 4 episodes a while back and then didn't continue with it. But here on my side, I just last night installed my second most anticipated game of the year, which is Elden Ring Night Rain. I only had enough time to play through the tutorial, but I did die in the tutorials.
wow.
But I think it's much like the original game of Elden Ring. There's a boss battle like in the tutorial that you basically cannot win. Like you're meant to die. So I'm just going to chalk it up to that I was supposed to die in the tutorial because clearly I'm not that bad. But looking forward to giving that some more time here in the next few days or week or whatever when I have some time. And the other thing that I would mention is, as Cody just brought up as well, and I'm not going to go deep into this because I don't want to get too worked up over it, but the Wheel of Time cancellation, that really sucks. That seems really stupid. Amazon apparently decided that Rings of Power is a much better place to spend their money. I don't think anyone in the world agrees with that, but someone does. So
that makes it so much worse that one's still going too, I will add.
Yeah.
Oh,
whatever. The only hope is that somebody picks it up and maybe it'll be HBO because they seem to be pretty good at adaptations, as we're about to talk about right now. As I said, we're here to talk about season 2 of The Last of Us. And naturally, just give a spoiler warning off the bat here because, we are here to talk about the season in total. So there will be spoilers, naturally, otherwise we won't be able to talk about the season very well. But what we will be able to do is try to avoid spoilers for next season, since the show is following the game so closely. Those of us who have played the game basically know what's coming up. And they're already working on season 3, so we will not go into those kind of spoilers. But just a little background on the game for those of you not familiar. The Last of Us Part 2 released in June 2020. Though it to me it felt like I thought it was like way older than that for some reason. It 5 years is 5 years. That's not a short amount of time, but it feels like it was farther back than that. But when I think about it, I played that during COVID, I guess. So that all lines
Part
up.
2 came out in 2020, you're saying?
Yes, correct.
What? Yeah, that seems way older than that.
Yep. It was almost universally praised among critics for its gameplay, receiving many perfect scores. But it was also the subject of review bombing on platforms such as Metacritic, where its score fell as low as 3.4 out of 10.
It's a Dave score.
Yeah. Though many of the reviews seem to be problems with social commentary within the game rather than the gameplay itself, as that is a pretty standard thing these days, it seems. But an interesting side note is that incident actually led to Metacritic changing its policy to not allow reviews until 36 hours after the release of something. So some good came out of it, I suppose. And in the end, the game won more than 320 separate Game of the Year awards.
Wow.
And has sold over 10 million copies worldwide.
Impressive.
So, pretty successful. Now, I know that, I know, because we're talking about it briefly before we started recording here, but sounds like both of you have not played the game. Is that correct?
No, never have. No.
Okay. Not the first game or the second game. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yep, neither.
Okay. I gotcha. All right. Well, then I will be the only one who has the knowledge of the spoilers for
I could never find the first game anywhere because First of Us, I never found it. I kept looking and I only ever had The Last of Us always.
Yeah, that is
hard. Why would I start at the end?
True. Yep, I get it. And just as in the show, the game is a continuation of the story of Joel and Ellie after they settled into life in Jackson. For the most part, the events of the show are pretty much the same as they are in the game, though we will talk about the differences that they've made. So, as we like to do, we'll kind of start this discussion off by just talking about characters and those are the ones that you thought were good or bad or anything that kind of stood out to you. So just a quick recap of the cast list. We have Bella Ramsey playing Ellie, Pedro Pascal playing Joel, Isabella Merced as a new character, Dina, Young Mazzino as also a new character, Jesse, Gabriel Luna coming back as Tommy, and then new characters, we have Caitlin Dever playing Abby, and Catherine O'Hara playing Gail as one of the more main characters. And then the last one I'll mention here, Jeffrey Wright coming in as Isaac, which just interesting side note, he actually voiced Isaac in the game as well. So as far as I know, that's the only...
How many roles did this guy film before he passed? Good Lord, when he popped up in this season, I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. I thought
they were going to have to replace him like halfway through the season, and then he was still there. And I was like,
that I didn't put that in my notes as something to talk about, but Isaac is a major character in the rest of the game.
Oh, okay.
So
is this you giving us those spoilers you just said you weren't going to give?
I mean, we know that he's not dead at this point at the end of the season. But I mean, they're going to have to do something. be interesting to see what they how they tackle that. But out of those that cast list or anybody else that has popped up, do you guys have anything you want to talk about, good or bad, of the cast?
We'll start with Tommy. I think since we got very little of him season one, seeing him even if he wasn't in a lot of the season, like especially his like leadership at Jackson, his kind of like reaction to events going on, I thought all of that was really like anytime he showed up on screen, I was like, okay, good. I'm gonna watch the scene really closely.
I didn't even realize till you just read the cast list that was Ghost Rider from Agents of Shield. I was like, dang, he's grown up. Like I didn't put that together. That's awesome. I mean, obviously, I thought Pedro Pascal did a nice job in this season again, particularly with a pretty wide range of emotions here in season two, though, very short screen time in some ways, what I'm talking about. But I thought he did a pretty good job trying to play that parent who's a parent, but also not a parent role, which, would not be easy to manifest yourself into as an actor, nor in real life, I'm sure. So,
yeah, I mean, Pedro Pascal, it's hard to say anything bad about his performance, either this first season or the second season. Just great emotional, just getting the feels just like every time he's on the screen with one way or the other. And yeah, he's kind of accepted the mantle of like the internet dad.
Mm-hmm.
For sure, yeah.
And yeah, it seems to be awesome with that. I was really impressed with Isabel Merced as Dina. She really kind of brought that character to life. In the game, the character is very much the same. Though honestly, I think she's actually better than the game character by a fair bit. Just very charismatic and fun, and does a really good job of giving like bringing some like brightness to this story, which rarely has anything good happening. So that was really cool to see. I also would shout out Bella Ramsey, again as Ellie has really shown a very, I would say, wide range of acting skill. She's definitely playing. She's getting that intensity that we're expecting from Ellie, and but also is pretty good at like a comic or having these charismatic moments. Where you see her joking around about this or that. I think overall I really enjoyed her performance. I know there definitely are people who don't like her in the role for one reason or another, which I think would be important to talk about later. But maybe we'll come back to that in a bit. Anybody else who stood out to you?
I'll throw out Catherine O'Hara just because this role was such a departure from a lot of the stuff she's gotten really famous for lately. Especially her introduction, where obviously you don't know the backstory immediately. You kind of get told that a little bit, especially her confrontational attitude towards Joel, like her being aggressive to him, but still like doing her job, having a purpose, but also being one of those like, well, you're surly and like distant, and I'm surly and distant too, but we're just gonna have to get through this together. I thought that was a great kind of almost seeing a different flavor of the Joel character.
Friends disagreeing.
Oh, here we go.
I didn't like her in the show.
Really?
Yeah, only because it didn't really have maybe as much to do with her actual performance, but it just like when she showed up, I was like, fucking really? Like they're going to throw her into this role just to have her be in the show. Like it felt a little celebrity shoehorned in, but I didn't mind the like actual interaction, I guess, between her and Joel, but I don't know, just and it's season two, so they got to bring in new people. I get that too, but it's like let's cameo drop this other person who you get to know very well into this tiny. It was a tiny role though, so that was kind of.
I headcanoned that it was the mom from Home Alone. That helped too.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Time-wise, it would just about be right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It could be. I mean, I understand like the celebrity aspect of it. Like she's almost too big to be playing a role in this show. But I mean, I did really enjoy what she did. Like it was one of the more fun characters this season, I thought. Well, a lot just the sarcasm just all the time. And
Cody, let me ask you that season 1, Nick Offerman showing up, like you didn't get the same kind of reaction?
So I didn't have the same reaction to that, though I probably should have, but I'll tell you why. It's because I don't know if I've ever seen him in anything before.
Oh, interesting.
I know many people have seen him in many things, and to me he's just like that guy who's in those things I don't watch. So but yeah, I can see what you're saying there for sure.
Yeah, if you don't like watch a lot of network TV, like I basically don't anymore. I like watch all like streaming services. So if you're not watching like whatever channel, wherever that was on NBC, maybe I don't even know.
Sounds
but
right.
Sounds right.
You know that you probably wouldn't be real familiar with them, but. All right, let's move on to well, we can talk about visuals. This discussion would be a little bit stronger if we had more of us who played the games. But just how did you like how the season looked visually and the different sets and all that kind of stuff?
I was thinking about how much, and this is later into the season, how much a lot of kind of apocalypse, shows and settings will be like, here's city streets. This show makes it a point to be like, well, here's like a museum, and here's what that would kind of look like. Or here's like, I liked the variety of the apocalypse. It wasn't just city block, city block, city block. Here's like some like monuments, and season 1 did that great in terms of, say, like bringing in giraffes. That's a visual that's almost arresting in terms of this apocalyptic environment. And honestly, Ellie running up a Tyrannosaurus Rex, like that was a great visual and something I didn't expect, and I really enjoyed.
Yeah, anything that's in like an apocalyptic future, I always have questions about, just in terms of like this show, especially with how the infected work and like the spores and the tendrils and stuff underground and everything. There's this component of like wildlife's the wrong word, but like flora, I guess, for lack of a better term. And I always question when I see these properties that have like this future vision of like how they incorporate the mix of this urban structure with like flora. And so sometimes it comes off as what I think maybe the future would look like, with like this part's overgrown and here, there's plants growing in this building where maybe they would have fallen through the cracks in the roof or something. And then other times I'm like, would it really look like that? Or like, are you trying to like make like an urban jungle, for lack of a better term, in some spots? And there were a few scenes where they were kind of walking through Seattle where I don't know that I fully bought how much vegetation there was in the city. But then again, I guess I just thought about too, like Pacific Northwest is so rainy anyway. Maybe I guess it could have grown all that stuff in the places it was at. But yeah, I would agree. The stuff we saw, particularly in buildings this season, as Dan was kind of saying, was very, very realistic. I thought, like, there were parts where you saw like water running downstairs and from a roof that had broke in inside of a building, and different floors of buildings even seem to have like different levels of how degraded they are, and how much deterioration they have. So overall, I thought pretty good. Yeah, Brett, what do you got for us?
Well, I mean, first I'll just talk about just the visuals, just in general. Like, I thought everything looked really cool. You kind of brought up the point of how everything is like overgrown, and while I do enjoy like how it looks, I think it looks really cool. It looks like it's actually like the world, nature's taking over everything again. They did a great job doing that. It also not just this show, but like lots of other stuff too. Like this is taking place 25 years after the outbreak, and it's hard to imagine that things are like that overrun in 25 years. But I mean, it's never actually happened, so like we don't have anything to really go by as an example necessarily, but especially like when you have like all kinds of vegetation like on top of skyscrapers. Like, how did that get there? Is like kind of thing that occurs to me. But overall, I thought a lot of stuff looked really cool. And what I was kind of alluding to at the start of this discussion was how closely everything looks to actual scenes in the game, which I mean, I can kind of relate to you too, since you haven't seen it, but there are many scenes and sets in this show where I looked at it and I said, how the hell did they find a building that looks exactly like the game? And I think in most cases they actually just built it from the ground up, or found a building that was like similar enough that they could modify it into something. But yeah, like obviously like the Seattle skyline, that's all CGI, but it looks exactly like the game. When they get into Seattle and there's the scene in the record store where Ellie's playing the guitar, when they went upstairs there to that area, like I had a big reaction moment because it was like spot on exactly how it is in the game. And like I recognize it immediately because it was so well done. And even like the theater and everything with the museum and the dinosaur, like all that stuff is right out of the game visually. Like the attention to detail, you really feel that the people who are working on these sets and things really love what they're doing, like want to do the best they possibly can with it because it's so good.
I saw on some website they were talking about that a little bit, and there was like I don't even know when the show they're referring to, but there was something about like a sky bridge or something that they were all going nuts over, and I was like, oh, "Fuck's the sky bridge? I don't even know what that's supposed to be in this season." But I'm sure whatever it is, it's the same type of thing you're talking about, though, where they just like nailed something out of the game. With
I don't right off the top of my head, I'm not sure what that would be referencing, but yeah, so much of it is so well done that there probably was just something that was iconic to somebody else that they recognized because it was exactly how it should be.
Well, yeah, I mean, and not only that, like as a good chunk of this season was set in Seattle, which is a city I have visited many times. Like I have pictures in the Seattle Aquarium with my kids. So like as they were like going down the hallways in the Seattle Aquarium, I was like, yeah, it's pretty passable. Like I might remember that room with all those jellyfish hanging from the ceiling. Like it seemed pretty real. So
yeah, I feel like the attention to detail when they made the game was very high as well. They wanted that as much realism as they could find, and that seems to have bled over into the show. Well, let's this segment also will be a little bit. We'll just have to feel our way through this because it kind of leads into. I just want to do a segment on just how closely the events of the show this season does match up to the game. So I can kind of just relate a few of those things to you guys since you won't know what I'm talking about exactly. But it is, as I said, very close to the game. But they do seem to have made more changes in season 2 than they did within season 1. And just a few of those, for example, I think one of the big ones is that in the game, it's Tommy and Joel at the lodge where that big event happens, not Dina and Joel. So that kind of changes the way that things happen in the game as well. With Tommy is the one who actually goes after Abby, not Ellie.
Oh,
whoa!
And
that's
then
pretty different then.
Yeah,
Ellie and Dina then follow after him, despite orders telling people do not let her leave. she manages to get out and go after Tommy.
Just if you remember, sorry to interrupt, does Tommy have a family in the game?
He does. Yeah. Okay. He has Maria and they have a child in the game, but I think I don't remember clearly, but I think they may have a daughter, and she's like younger than what she is in the or than what the son is in the show. There's something a little bit different there, but not like a major difference. Also, just for example, like it also kind of with the Tommy not being the one leaving Jackson, like he's there to defend against the attack on Jackson, and that's a thing that does not happen in the game either. Just the entire attack scene, like all of that, where yeah. So that was a major thing that they added. I thought it was a really awesome scene. I'm glad it was in the show.
Yeah.
Very, very cool and intense. And showing like how dangerous the situation can be. And let's see what else here. Gail is a completely new character. And like all the kind of like the therapy angle that we see in this season, that's all new. That wasn't in the game. It's kind of cool. It gives us a little bit more of an insight into the characters as well. I thought that kind of helped the season perhaps a bit. And let's see here. Yeah, I can mention this one. So, one, I would say maybe one of the biggest changes, just in the timeline between the games and the show, is that porch scene with Ellie and Joel in episode 6. That is actually the very last scene in the game. We go through all the events of the game, all of this trauma, and then they punch you right in the nuts with the last line of Ellie wanting to forgive Joel. And it's interesting that they did that here now in season 2 rather than at the end. I think it is mostly a way to, because if they didn't do that, we would have gotten very little Joel in this season.
Yeah.
So I think they that was a way to bump that up. And also, I think the way that they structured it, like where they stuck it into the episode timeline, it did kind of give more weight to what happened in episode 7. But yeah, just another interesting change there, different from the game.
Is it something too that maybe they won't need Pedro Pascal in future seasons by doing this, or that he might
possibly
go down the cameo status?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't dug into their plans for season 3. Based on the events in the game, without saying too much, I think they've covered, because like the flashbacks that we get in episode 6 of this season are kind of spaced out through the game. Like you kind of get those in, they come back and refresh your memory on Joel once in a while. But yeah, now that they got those all the way, there's real possibility we might not get a lot of Joel or any in season 3. So we shall see. Let's move on from that into just general plot moments, big scenes. I don't think we need to, like, going episode by episode, I don't think is necessary. But if there's just like anything you want to talk about with the plot, we'll just start going. You can just do it any order you want, I guess. So
to represent the first episode and the kind of like that tension that obviously wasn't there at the end of season 1 between Joel and Ellie, I thought was really interesting, and it did a great job kind of like setting the tone for the rest of the season and kind of setting up the big arc that they obviously wanted to do. It also made episode 2 way more impactful and the big event there. So I was really impressed, but I did notice in the first episode, I was like, what happened? Like, obviously I knew there was a time jump, but they did a great job setting it up in terms of, it's vague. You understand where they're at, but you don't understand how they got there.
Yeah. I also thought that was good. It kind of keeps you asking the question, like, what the hell changed that, why is this so different now than the last time we saw them? And definitely kind of lends to wanting to know more about the season.
Yeah. Not going episode by episode, but from episode one, a couple tiny things I liked in here was the inclusion of the little tendrils in the pipe, like that the dramatic irony we saw, and we were like, oh, that shit's moving in there, and the townsfolk were oblivious. So that was kind of a nice slow burn waiting. Paid off much quicker than I thought it was going to pay off in the very next episode, but I kind of thought that was going to be a slow burn for the season. And then also in episode one, they introduced that type of infected that we hadn't seen in season one with the I don't even know what the fuck you call those things, the shadowy, mimicky infected monsters. I think they had a name online maybe, but
smart ones.
Yeah, the smart ones basically.
They're in the game. They're called stalkers.
Stalkers, that was the word I saw. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was kind of creepy too, because when that was introduced, I was like, wait, what is this thing doing? It's like strategically trying to take her down using the environment. What is going on here?
Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty awesome.
Definitely very intimidating opponents in the game as well. Where they're not just wandering around out in the middle where you could just take them down. They're hunting you more than you're hunting them out. But yeah, we didn't get a lot of them in this season, but we got enough to be scared of them. For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, just enough to know that there's a little more to the mythology, a little more of what's out there. Like we saw the big chubby one in the first season. There's these slight variants out there that's I don't know if we'll know what causes it or not, because I don't know if they'll go into the science breakdown of that, but there's other things out there still.
Yeah, I love that evolving aspect that you kind of get the sense season one to season two, and you're seeing oh, these are the steps the fungus is taken.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another, that kind of leads into a thought here I was going to bring up later, but another change just from the games in general is that the spores are a much bigger aspect in the games throughout. And I know the biggest reason why they essentially eliminated that aspect in the show was because otherwise you'd have your characters wearing masks the entire time. That doesn't make a great show. So the fact that they kind of waited to introduce the spores aspect till this season, I think it's fitting. It makes sense. It works fine, and it gives us another thing in this season that's a new. Oh shit, that's going to be difficult to deal with at some point.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, that was cool. I mean, we don't need to spend a ton of time on it, but obviously, my favorite scene probably, I'd have to go back and think, but my favorite scene probably is just the attack on Jackson itself, just Game of Thrones style, massive army, and just, I was impressed how many defense mechanisms the town had pre-planned. I was like, damn, they really, were not sitting around waiting to be attacked. They were really prepping this entire time, which was awesome.
Yeah, we don't really see it before that point, any kind of training or anything, but they were ready.
Yeah.
Some of them more than others, as some of them ran away when faced with the danger, but yeah, they had their plan laid out pretty well.
I was really curious. Again, we talked about this on several other podcasts as well, and I don't know how we could ever know the number, but what percent of the audience has played the game versus not played the game? I'd be curious on, because I think I saw a rumor that they might stretch this out to 4 seasons is kind of maybe what they're talking about.
There's a rumor about that, yeah.
But I questioned, I didn't know Joel died, so when that happened in episode 2, I was like, well, this really sucks. Presumably a large chunk of the audience could probably relate to Joel as a character more than Ellie as a character. So, that was a disconnect a little bit with the plot right then that happened. And then I wondered too, this show won't run that long, but do you remember when everybody and their mother watched The Walking Dead until suddenly they didn't because of what happened in the episode of The Walking Dead? You know what part I'm talking about here. That's kind of this very similar, imagery here in this episode too, where I was like, I wonder if they're going to lose people from this. And actually, I was looking at the statistics, like they had far less viewers the second half of the season than the first half of the season. So I don't know, man. I just wondered if that scene even needed to be as gruesome as it was. Like, could they have just got the point across without it being as graphic as it was in the show? I don't know. Just thinking here out loud.
Yeah, interesting point.
How accurate to the game was that scene?
Very.
Okay.
I think about the only real difference between the scene in the show and the scene in the game is that like I said, Tommy's supposed to be there, not Dina. And Ellie does come in towards the end of it, as she does in the show. Really the only difference is that in the show, she essentially stabs Joel to finish him off, and in the show it's a bit more gruesome than that. Less quick.
Yeah.
But otherwise, yeah, much of that episode was exactly as it was from the game.
Wow.
So. But you said in the game the entire attack on the town doesn't happen.
True. Yes.
So like that's all happening in a vacuum. Like they're still in that basic same cabin and watching and like the town and all that, but
right. Yes.
For other reasons, they end up back at or are there still infected chasing them? Is that how they end up back at the cabin, or they just end up there?
Yeah. So basically, they Joel and Tommy are out patrolling. They get kind of ambushed by infected, like they do in the show, and they take refuge in the cabin. And it just so happens that Abby is also taking refuge in that same cabin, or they kind of like meet up in the general area the same way. Which, by the way, that scene where she's trapped like under the fence, awesome scene, and that's also directly out of the game too.
Oh, yeah,
like that's like shot for shot right in the game. But that was a really, I just like it's so intense that they're like reaching through and like basically like the wires of the fence are like digging like into their hands because they're pushing their hands through the fence so hard. That's real nasty.
I was very impressed by that scene. I knew that something really dramatic happened in the game, like pretty early on, and that a lot of people were upset about it. So I kind of assumed that it would be a major death. But Cody brought up Game of Thrones earlier, and I think one of the selling points of Game of Thrones was that like no one has plot armor. Like it could be anyone's time at any moment. And I really applaud the show for doing that as well. Like that was a bold move. And I think Cody, you're right in terms of like people are identifying a lot more Joel than Ellie. So taking out Joel, like that is a bold move. And yeah, I'm sure viewage dropped off solely for that, but I was very impressed.
Yeah. I obviously like I say, it happens the exact same way in the game. I think it's absolutely the right it's the right decision to do that again and not let Joel live in some way, but I think specifically, like you say, the viewers who have not played the game probably do have a very different outlook on the show now. And that's it's unfortunate, but also understandable.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I don't think there's any way they could have gotten around it. Like it's part of what makes the story so amazing. So
trying to think of just other scenes, good, bad, or in between.
I really enjoyed the New Year's festivities, just because like they like kind of a nicely lit dance hall is not something I expected in my zombie apocalypse. Like it was a great respite versus everything else, and adding to the kind of visual palette that the whole show has. Like I was impressed.
Fun fact about that scene: the band that's playing is the exact same band that recorded the audio in the game.
Oh, that's great.
There was like their original song, and they came back and played it again for the show. So
that's pretty cool.
Just a fun fact there.
Yeah.
But yeah, another scene that plays out almost shot for shot from the game, like almost identical. It's crazy how much detail there is in that. The scene that I kind of brought up before, and I'll bring it up now again. Where Ellie plays guitar and sings in the record shop in Seattle. Bella Ramsey is not as good a singer as Ashley Johnson, who was the voice of Ellie in the game. Okay. So that changed things a little bit, but still, I love that scene. It was, it's just like the way it's shot and the lighting and in that space, just kind of like had a kind of a magical aspect to it. And the song is just a really cool song choice.
Yeah.
For that. And that was one that it was definitely one of the standout scenes of the season for me.
I have a lot of issues with this scene, but one of the ones visually that I enjoyed, and you already mentioned, it's one of the ones you can see CGI and more, but when she was on the boat trying to like head towards the Ferris wheel and the aquarium, like it was a really moody, really cool looking scene. I'm not convinced she wouldn't have instantly drowned out there watching the show. And then I also like that she was like, "Oh, thank God I survived this like cult that was going to kill me in the woods. I'll get another boat and go back out there." I'm like, "What? What the fuck? Why?"
That was one I was, as I was watching that, I was trying to remember exactly how it played out in the game, and I think there's definitely something that they changed up, but yeah, the part of it that really got kind of stuck in my head was the fact that she was almost to the aquarium, like she was right there, could see it, and then like she washed up on a shore like a mile away from it. Like how the waves swept her that far away. Yeah, and she survived that. I seems like it doesn't fit, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, it's not really a scene, it's just a gripe I have. I don't know if you want those or if you want to stick with scenes for now.
We can just get into whatever your positives and negatives, whatever you got.
I know it's adapted from a video game, and in a video game they have to do it because it drives the player playing the narrative, but it just felt like there were a few times this season where I just did not buy that a character would have mysteriously made it to the rendezvous point they were trying to get to, or the place that they have been trying to explore, or the place where this other person randomly happened to be at. Like, I know they can't show us even the journey to Seattle, but I was like, did those two girls make it to Seattle from Wyoming? Like, that's a hell of a long ways to just randomly get there and then immediately find a building that's safe, and then immediately find where this person's at, and then immediately find them. Like, wait a second.
Yeah, there definitely are moments like that in the game where things kind of like leap forward and skip stuff that you think like you should like see what happened in that space. But I agree. There was like a lot of trimming down, and it's understandable because it's a show and they have to fit in the time space that's allowed. Because I right off the top of my head I don't know, but like playtime for this game, the average playtime is probably somewhere around like 60 hours, something like that. So obviously cutting it down to a 7-hour TV season, is you have to cut some things out. But I kind of agree. Like, I mean, you could kind of the fact that they didn't show any of the trip from Wyoming to Seattle. I mean, you could chalk it up to they've gotten so skilled that there wasn't really any danger to them.
Would have been a good opportunity for a montage then, but
yeah, with that 80s.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but there was a lot of that. There was like Abby found them exactly where she needed to find them at. Jesse arrived at exactly the right moment of when he needed to be there to save them. Tommy happened to just do this thing where he was sniping and then made it, and it was like, oh my gosh, like everybody
Yeah.
magically can get to wherever they want. And
Yeah,
and I
it's a
know that
very
the show always, to their credit, the show always shows the characters with like maps in their hands and they're like trying to like decide where they're supposed to be going and stuff. And I'm like, but listen, also, I'm sorry, like, Seattle's not a small place. So just because you're
yeah.
like, this is the direction I heard a gunshot, doesn't mean you're going to walk in the building and be like, that's the person we were looking for right over there.
I have to agree with that. Yeah. I obviously it's like they Seattle is a major city. It's not a tiny town. Uh they have I know like the producers have said that in season 3 we will they'll kind of answer some questions kind of related to what you were just asking, but still, yeah, it feels like there's a lot of just dots connecting and we don't see how that could happen.
Oh,
That's
but
fair.
wait, we're going to get it with how the season ended, though. Just wait. Day one, Seattle. Dun, 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 dun. How did you guys enjoy that? Now, I gather that's probably somewhat related to the game also. Dan, did you like the like Seattle day one, day two, day three, and then with Abby they were like day one? Did that work for you, or would you have rather they like interspliced those to like go back and forth? Like
Yeah, I was okay with it.
you're okay with it? I don't know any redeeming qualities for this Abby character at the moment, other than she lost her dad, and yeah, a lot of people lost their dad in the zombie apocalypse. Here's what it is. I thought it was a pretty ballsy move by the show, and I don't know that I mean that in a good way, to like end the show with like, now we're going to give you this girl's story for those same 3 days. And I'm like, why would I possibly care? I don't know anything about
I
this
think
girl that makes her redeemable, so why do I care?
that's a very fair question. And yeah, I mean they give you enough to just like you say, you understand that what they're going to do is give you her side of the story now. So that's not really a spoiler. That's exactly how it is in the game as well. You actually play as Abby for a large segment of the game. Um, and all I will say is that there is more to her story than you know so far.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that at least because, you know, from the outside, this seems to be like we kept it exactly the same structure as the video game. When, as a TV viewer, I'm like, yeah, maybe in this one case you shouldn't have. Like, maybe we need to know a little bit more about this other character if you're gonna like anchor the season on teasing us with what her story is to start the next season in 2 years.
Mm-hmm. And that is one of the changes that I didn't bring up yet because it I was assuming that we would get to that here just like we are now, but uh, in the game we actually don't learn about Abby's motivations uh, until much later in the game, essentially where we leave off this season. So if you can imagine playing through the game up to this point in the game, and you actually know nothing about Abby. Like you don't even know that her dad was the one killed.
Oh,
She's just some random person who showed up in Jackson and murdered your favorite character and then ran off again. And that's basically all you know about her in the game.
I saw on some website that they said like that revelation like would have been a good way to end this season.
yeah,
Like
I
they could
I
have left with
agree.
that, like he shot my dad or something, and the dun dun dun, whatever, something.
I I think I agree with that. I think that could have been a stronger finish to the season and like a moment for people to go, oh shit. Like that's a major thing.
Yeah, I mean, this is getting into like a bigger problem I had with this whole season, which was like, and it sounds like you're saying they are paralleling the game quite a bit, but it just felt
Mm-hmm.
like they were trying to splice time in different ways to maximize emotional effects, and I don't know that that always paid off for me as the viewer. Like I was like, why did they put that Joel flashback episode exactly where it was? Would it have been better someplace else? And I'm like trying to weigh this stuff in my head, or like, should they have given us a little bit of Abby first and then like some Ellie and then some Abby? And like, would that have been different? I thought there was another one in here too, but it's just like, I don't know. It felt like they were playing around time a lot with how they're presenting the stuff to us. And for 7 episodes, especially, like this is a very short run. And I don't know. I wonder if it would have been better in some places if they had just made it cleaner. Like, I don't know. I guess what was I supposed to take out of the Joel flashback episode where it was at? Like you sounded like you had a reason like that was the good spot for it to be at.
Uh, for me, because like the episode before that, episode 5, we leave off with Ellie torturing what's her name? Nora. There you go. Yep.
Oh yeah.
And it kind of at the end of that, like we're meant to be left feeling like, holy shit, like Ellie is going like off the deep end here. Like, where is this coming from? Because this is like seems like even more extreme than what we have seen from this character. Like we've obviously seen her able and willing to be violent, but like this feels like something beyond that. And so then just to give us all of this, most of that episode 6, I think, is like her memory of Joel. And so to me, that gives you the dots to connect. Like, this is why she is so upset and like in this state of mind where she's able to literally torture another human being. So, that's how I would say that the timing of that episode kind of amplified the season a bit for me.
Okay.
Yeah, I honestly, I think they could have like ended the season on that. I think it was so strong in terms of encompassing and like answering all those questions it's set up in the first couple episodes to be like, wait, how did Joel and Ellie's relationship get here? Like, how did Ellie become so tilted? And I really appreciate anyone who's bold enough to kind of leave the viewer a little bit confused and asking those questions, knowing that like when it's going to wrap it up or when it's going to start to connect all those lines together. And it did make it a lot more impactful. Like, I'm trying to think if they would have like compressed all of that into like episode 1, I think it would have had like less of an effect because I wouldn't have been sitting there questioning most of the season, like how did Ellie get to this state?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, trying to compile some of my thoughts there. So obviously, they're breaking down the game into 2 seasons because it was a large, time-wise large game. And I mean, structurally it makes sense to start the new season with Abby's story, because it is like a fresh break point. But I mean, I have to agree, like while the ending was dramatic, it didn't necessarily hit perhaps quite as hard as it could have if they had shifted some other things around.
Yeah, I mean, how did you guys? I mean, Brett, sounds like you know where this is headed to, but maybe Dan more, I'm asking, but also you. Like, that's a very classic TV trope, the like literal gun that goes off and the screen that goes black, right? I'm like, what just happened? Somebody shoot JR? What's happening here? Like, it was kind of, and that was whatever. We speculated a little bit. Like, I watched these with my wife again this season, and she was like, I think I know what happened there. And I was like, what do you think happened? She's like, well, what do you think happened there? And I was like, I don't know if I have like a prevailing thought, like I have theories. And she's like, well, so, without spoiling it, she said she thought Dina had fired, and that was the source of the gunfire. And I didn't look anything up either, so I'm just talking here. And she's like, I think she saved her. And I was like, my first thought was Abby committed suicide. And I don't know if that's true or not, but that was my first thought. And she was like, why would you think that? And I was like, I don't know, but that was actually the first thing I thought of, well, like what happened in that scene. So, Yeah, I'll be interested to see what did happen in the scene, but
Yeah. Yeah, I think I probably wouldn't add anything to that thought. I'll just let you have your opinions on it.
If Abby has some bigger tie-in to the Joel Ellie story aside from what happened with the Fireflies, then I'm willing to give it. Otherwise, it feels like a third character who's kind of given a lot of screen time. And again, haven't played the game, haven't seen all of her backstory, so maybe I'll change my tune. But I'm coming here for Joel and Ellie, and I'm okay now that it's just Ellie. I'm kind of against another character suddenly showing up, like who's not. I mean, honestly, like I would much rather have more Dana. Like that was a good character to add in. The Abby one,
Yeah.
I'm feeling comfortable with.
Yeah.
just think if they had Abby like interwoven through the whole season one, and then like the first time she meets like Joel and Ellie, she just fucking kills this guy straight up. You're like,
Yeah.
whoa, what? Like that would have been a massive shock to see that play out that way.
Mm.
And then, they could have still had hid from us till maybe the end of the season, like who her dad was or something. But
Yeah. I let's see. So one thing I
But you're
definitely
walking such a fine line here.
I am. I'm trying to like weave through what will and will not spoil things for people. What I definitely can say is that when I played the game, I had a very similar reaction to what you're describing on the show, in that the first time that well, it's actually not the first time that you control Abby, but when you get to this point in the game, because you actually control her, and there's the scene where she's behind the fence, you're controlling her.
okay.
So that's the first time you control Abby. But when you start playing as Abby at this point in the game, I absolutely had a moment of, why the fuck do I want to do this? I hate this bitch. Why am I playing as this person? This is awful. And I think there was a lot of backlash of people who played the game as well, who kind of said the same thing. Like, before they finished the game, they were like, "What?" Like, I think if I'm remembering correctly, there are even people who like quit the game, like they did not finish the game because they got to that point and they're like, "I don't want to play the rest of this game. Why the hell am I?" And so they didn't get the rest of the story. But yeah, I think it wouldn't spoil anything for me to say that the remainder of the game, and I hope that they season 3 can really nail the way things kind of fell out in the game, because if it does, it will change your viewpoint. So
all right,
is the I had to ask this, is the scene where Joel dies in the video game, is that just a video cutscene? Or are you actually controlling someone in that scene? Because I was just thinking how fucking brutal it would be if you switch to that scene. They're like, now you're controlling Abby.
yeah,
You're like, done. I don't want to play anymore.
It's
like press Y to whack. I think press Y to whack again. Press Y to whack again.
I think that it's either completely a cutscene, or there may be just a couple of things like you like a push a button to make Ellie struggle or something like that.
Yeah.
Like try to fight back. There might be something like that, but I think it's nearly completely a cutscene.
That's an interesting question. I always think back to if you ever played BioShock Infinite.
Yeah.
And I remember reading an article that made me play the game because the article said like you do things in this game that like because they're forcing you to do it, like you react very differently. And the scene that always struck with me is that there's literally a scene, there's a fair amount of racism in BioShock Infinite where you are given a rock and you're supposed to throw it at minorities. And you have the option of like throw it or don't. And you're getting into a lot of trouble if you don't throw it. And like that was the moment I'm like, oh, this is what they were talking about. Is like it feels very different that I'm sitting here and I have to actually do the action. It sounds like one of those old psychological experiments where like
right.
keep applying shocks or things like that. So Cody, that question was fascinating, and that'd be very interesting and I think soul crushing knowing what happened if you had to actually like cause that to happen.
Yeah, I can
It's a
see that
little
for
off.
sure. Yeah.
You remember that scene where Dina said she was preggers, and then Ellie was like, "I can't be turned," and then Dina didn't understand it, so Ellie had to sex-plain it to her.
I do remember that
That was
scene.
the scene.
And there seemed to be a lot of people who seem to remember that scene
Huh.
more than others as well. Um, so let's talk about that a bit. So, uh, let's see. I mean, I won't go into like the scene is changed up a bit from the game. Um, it I think they definitely went for trying to do a more of a like a heartfelt like a connection a connecting moment between these two. It's a little bit more different in the game. It's a little more stressful and like intense, but um yeah, so like the line "I'm going to be a dad" is not in the game. Um and I took that as being like like a cute kind of charismatic moment. Um it 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 is obviously, I mean, I Ellie is just jokes about like so many things. Like I took it as she's just that's a very typical Ellie joke. Like, you know, uh a lot of people seem to be not not
Yeah.
taking that so well. There are a lot of really mean memes out there right now. They're like all over the place. So I'm going to give you two a chance to explain like why you two have created those now. So go ahead and tell us what. No, I'm just messing with you.
I haven't even seen these. What is the controversy? Is it like that because she said
uh,
she's a dad, or that she's going to be a guy? Is that what it is, or am I?
yeah, it's essentially yes, because Bella Ramsey identifies as uh oh, the word is not, it just flew out of my head.
Non-binary?
Yes, that's the one. Thank you very much.
Oh, okay.
She identifies as non-binary, and obviously has a look that is uh not stereotypically feminine, and so the
Sure.
memes are all like, as you might expect in today's age, very derogatory towards uh people who are non-binary or transgender or anything like that. So
Mm-hmm.
um yeah, there seems to be a lot of that. They're also just in general, people just don't seem to like that line. But I really didn't have a problem with it. I thought it was kind of cute and like a bit of a joke.
Yeah, I didn't
Like,
see anything wrong with it.
Yeah.
yeah,
Didn't make a huge impact, like you said. It's
yeah.
I'm
I
riding a
don't know.
T-Rex was said like the next episode, so
Right, exactly.
They
Yeah.
went to outer space, Dan.
yeah, there you
Shh.
um, Still, let's talk about that scene too, because that entire like museum sequence, also straight out of the game, and probably one of the most memorable things I have about the game. It was just as you saw it there. It was just very heartfelt and like it like reminds you why you love Joel so much. And you see like how how much effort he's putting into trying to be a dad for
Yeah.
Ellie. And yeah, I thought it was, they pulled it off maybe even a bit better in the show than they did in the game. So any thoughts on any of that?
I don't know if it's specifically about the scene with the space shuttle, but like I will say that flashback episode does a really nice job. Again, who can you relate to in the show? Joel, right? So the idea of just like as your kids get older, like you have to do some different measures to try to like gain their enthusiasm, because what worked at their 13th party is not going to work for their 17th party and vice versa.
Mm.
So you gotta, and it seemed like he was really trying to put forth the effort on that as like tailoring some activities to whatever age she was, whatever she was into at the time. So it was a cool little scene in the museum. I don't know where that was at, if they said where that was at. I'm just curious if that was like a real world. Were they at NORAD? Is that where that was? No, I don't know. I don't know where they were.
I actually don't know if that's a real place that they picked for the game.
Yeah.
It very well could be.
I thought it was a lot of fun, and obviously, in a world of the apocalypse, sweet bonding moments like that are few and far between. So it was kind of nice, and I also really appreciated the like showing how much Ellie was putting into it with like the sound clip starting to go and the rocking, like the emphasis on it, how like she was completely caught up.
Yeah, she played along with it. She didn't go like, "Oh, this is stupid." you know?
Yeah.
Why are we doing this? Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially I got to I have to keep reminding myself throughout the show that it wasn't like she had a taste of the world and then lost it. Like she never had this. This was all the time before her. And so this is all like legends to her.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good point. Let's see here. So the scene where Ellie is trying to hunt down Abby in the aquarium, and then accidentally kills two of Abby's friends.
Oh boy.
That that was pretty powerful. Also basically straight out of the game, the one change they made there, and I was listening to, because the HBO has an official podcast for the show, and I was listening to that today on this episode, and they essentially when writing it, they decided to make the change of, well, what if we have Mel ask Ellie to cut the baby out? Because that is not a thing in the game. She's pregnant. Wow. She's pregnant, but doesn't ask her to try and save the baby. And it's like, oh my, like it's already a scene that is like just terrible to watch. And they're like, you know what? Let's amp it up even more.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like maybe I'm in like denial still over Joel. I don't know what's going on. Like we were chatting about this a bit here at the house, and I think I mentioned a couple things in our chat as well, but like when Joel died in episode 2, for whatever reason, I did not have an emotional reaction. I should have. I know I should have, but I didn't. Like my wife was bawling, and I was like, I probably should be super sad right now, but I'm not. And then like the flashback episode happened, and I was like, I'm not having a reaction to this either. I don't know why. And then the part at the end when she's like, just save my baby, just like cut it out of me, and then she doesn't. I was like, eh. She was like a henchman lady. Like I guess you could say save the baby, and it's an innocent or whatever, but. No, no. Oh no. Some stuff didn't hit with me, and I feel like it should have, and I don't know why that is.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. But I recognize that it should. It just didn't. I don't know. And usually I bawl at everything. We watched Fever Pitch tonight, and I cried at that when the Red Sox won the fake World Series in the movie, you know. Well, it was the real World Series, but still.
Yeah. I mean, for me, you know, it was very like a powerful scene. That we see Ellie like trying to do things, but like not really knowing, like she's not really good at doing these things, and is trying, and it's kind of just like effing everything up as she goes. And this really felt like the peak of that. Like, not only did she kill someone here accidentally, basically, because like he, Owen whips the gun out and she just pulls the trigger.
Yeah.
But she also kills a pregnant woman, and then like is trying her best to help her save the baby, but just doesn't know how. Like she has no idea what she's doing. And like it like the whole season and the game too is really just kind of like this like descent into like this dark place for Ellie. And I feel like that's going to definitely set things up well going forward.
Joe, were you guys sad when Jesse died?
I mean, I knew it was coming. So
yeah, Jesse, that super cool character, Jesse.
Didn't like Jesse?
I didn't like Jesse. No.
Oh my goodness.
I know. I saw online they're like, he's like the whole yin to at least yang, and he's community, and he's this first, and he's blah blah blah. And I'm like, eh.
We don't get a lot of time with Jesse to
Yeah, maybe that's why.
get you hooked on him, I suppose.
But now we won't get to go visit that hot merchant chick that came to his camp once upon a time for 2 weeks. Ugh.
Hold on, Cody. There's still flashback possibility.
That's true. That's true.
We'll get... Cody's talking about what isn't affecting him, but now we know what was affecting him. So
yeah, that's true.
Season 3, we get a whole episode of just Jesse,
yeah,
with that girl,
with Joel making one cameo walking by in the background. Yes, down for it now. Also, did you know Dina was Dora the Explorer in the movie? Because I didn't until I looked it up today. That explains why she can find stuff in Seattle, but
she's really good at the map.
Yeah, everybody else I don't know about.
Hey, you guys didn't know that was a cameo, the map from Dora?
I guess not. She does always have a backpack too, so it makes sense.
All fits.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I've hit on pretty much all my plot points here. Anything else you guys want to say just about plot or just general positives, negatives?
I just gonna mention one minor character we didn't mention in the onset that I did enjoy was Seth. That's his name, Seth?
Yep.
Yeah, who was like the asshole on the dance floor on New Year's Eve, but then like later was their supplier for all of their like weapons and military paraphernalia they needed for their trip. It's like, yeah, go get him. Thought he had a nice little 180 for as small of screen time as he had. It was like, oh,
I will stand up. He said he was Milwaukee PD, if I remember right, which his accent was so wrong.
Oh,
yeah, I didn't put that together, but yeah, you'd be right. Maybe he was only there a short time. I don't know.
Yeah,
could have been after the fall.
There you go.
Yeah.
Brett, the symbology of the moth with Ellie, is that continued anymore throughout the game, or is it just kind of in that flashbacky section?
To my memory, it's not a big part of the game going forward.
Okay.
Like it's a thing that's touched on, but it's not like a focal point.
Okay.
That was an amazing engraving that Joel did.
Oh my God, right?
And then later, wasn't he like, oh, yours are so much better than what I could do? And I was like, what, dude? You just like engraved a chunk of wood into this beautiful thing. Like, that'd be so much harder. What are you talking about?
Freehand.
Yeah.
That would be so hard to do. Yeah. I think the last thing that I would bring up here is plot thing is we do get that scene early in seasons or episode 6 where we are seeing a glimpse of Joel's childhood with his father, and the essentially the point of that, the moral of that coming out of that is for parents wishing for their kids to do better than they did. I also felt like that was a really meaningful thing that worked in well, plays in well through the season in general, but just like really added kind of to that episode on its own.
I actually don't know if I remember that part because I believe there was an extended series of flashbacks in Wolfenstein 2 that I'm currently playing, which is very similar, and now I'm getting them confused. So,
would you like me to refresh your memory?
I don't remember it. Wait, I remember like Tommy was like super little in it, right?
Yeah, they're both like 12-ish.
I don't remember anything past that though.
Yeah. Essentially his Joel's father tells him the story of how his father broke his jaw, like punched him and broke his jaw,
Mm-hmm.
and how
Oh,
Joel's father
yeah.
hits Joel and Tommy, but he doesn't do what his father did.
Yeah, he's like
Yeah, it's
sitting
not
at
as
the
bad.
dining room table.
Yep. Yep.
I do remember that now. Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
I was really impressed with that. I could tell immediately that it was like a Joel flashback just by like the accoutrement around.
Mm.
I was like,
Yeah.
they're going this far back, like they're so this is that line of like maybe you'll do a little bit better. Like I again I thought that was great within that episode, and I really like I think the season could have ended right there. Like that would have been obviously it wouldn't have been much of a cliffhanger, but I think that encompassed a lot of Joel all the way back from season one into
Mm.
some of the choices he was making, and then obviously the kind of division that was going on is that a lot of stuff Joel was trying, but like he wasn't very good at it, but it was obviously doing better than his dad was. So I think it really resonated. It was a powerful message.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Uh Anything else, or are we ready to go into our ratings for this season?
It sucked.
Lots of credit to the scene in the basement of the hospital. That was basically like the fungal like aliens hive, right down to the
Super
red
cool.
lighting. Oh,
Right,
so
yeah.
great.
Super cool. Also, we didn't mention there was like that little tiny scene in like the subway where they were fighting like both the WLF and also the infected that were running all over the place
Oh
too.
yeah.
Like that was also a cool little scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, where they're like stuck in the subway car and
Yeah.
like trying to get out the back end of it.
We didn't talk
Yeah.
about the I want to could describe them the cultists in terms of like the ones
Oh
that
yeah.
are
We didn't even mention them at all. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. The
The
Seraphites.
the
Yeah.
little
Or
kid.
the scars as
yeah,
as
the scars.
the WLF has named them. Very, yeah, very creepy, very interesting. We will see more of them in next season for
That's
sure.
the only I would say I didn't get enough. Like they obviously were like setting up for a bunch of stuff, and it was great. Like kind of coming in the middle of something that's obviously been going on for a while. But yeah, I'm glad to hear we'll get some more.
Mm. Yeah, very interesting. So like that scene where Abby like washes up on the shore and she gets captured, and then like essentially the person who decides her fate is like a 9-year-old boy who's like, yeah, gutter.
Yeah. That was creepy.
Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did have some questions as far as like the WLF and the Seraphites seem to have like this war that's been going on for a while. And we've seen like as they were traveling, like I saw bodies here and there, particularly of like the cultist people. But then we had like the one scene where like we were introduced to them alive when they were running through like I don't know if it's a cemetery, a park or something, and like the WLF guys were like, oh no, we don't go in there.
Mm,
I was like, wow, you guys have like 200 years of advanced technology over them in terms of a gunfight. So I'm not sure what the
that's
problem
true.
is here. You guys are rolling tanks down Main Street in Seattle and they're like coming at you with a little bow. I don't know.
Yeah, I could see that. That's a fair point.
When we
Uh,
saw like how progressed and well equipped the WLF were, I was like, okay.
it yeah, I would have to agree. It's hard to imagine that that's much of an actual fight, but yeah, it I think we definitely will see much more of that, and maybe they'll do a good job of like explaining how it's gone on so long as it
Hmm.
has.
Hmm.
Yeah. Uh all right. Well, I guess let's get into some ratings here. And I mean I don't think I have anything to say about that specifically. We'll just do our usual out of 10 and just let you go whatever you want. Well, anybody want to jump in that first?
I'll go ahead. I'll just say like an 8. Like I would rate season 1 a 9 in terms of like, hey, this is real like peak storytelling. 8. There was a lot of so this season I give it 8 because they had a lot of great moments, but and it's starting to sound a lot like this is the element of like you're only about halfway through the story, but it wasn't quite as compelling as like season one. I was salivating for the next episode and see what was going to happen next. This one's like, okay, I do want to see where this goes, but I'm not pining as much as I was.
Yeah, for me, it's going to be a downgrade as well. Probably more severe than Dan, I would say. It just seemed like there were, again, a few instances of characters that just happened to find exactly what they needed in the exact moment they needed it, which kind of rubbed me a little bit the wrong way here and there. Um, I it helps to hear you guys explain a little bit, but I still feel like they attempted to really manipulate time in ways that they thought were going to have maximum impact on me, and it just like maybe that was the maximum impact on me. I don't know, but it just felt like there were some decisions they made that I put into question just in terms of placement, and particularly like how they handled maybe the introduction of like the Abby story and like almost like a post-credit scene after the final scene with the gunshot, but it's also like a direct linear narrative. And like also it bothered me when I was watching the show. It shouldn't have, but it did, because when they were in Seattle they like started numbering the days, and I was like, well, that's new, like that hasn't been in the rest of this TV show from the beginning. There's clearly a reason for this, which we did finally figure out at the very end what that was for. But and I don't know. I think like I hate to say it, but I think Pedro Pascal being gone is gonna like limit me a little bit more in my enjoyability for this. Coupled with the fact that I don't know that I saw many other characters that I enjoyed to take his place, like in my viewing habits. Like Dina was okay. I wasn't as high on her as it sounds like maybe Dan was down there. Jesse was like, man, I Tommy maybe, but like we didn't get a lot of Tommy necessarily either in this season. So maybe if he's featured more, like he could take Joel's spot a little bit more as like the adult of the show. But for me, I'm gonna go down quite a bit actually. Unfortunately, I'm gonna go down to 6.8 on this season, which is an unfortunate drop for me. But
yeah, okay. Uh, for me, I mean, I don't remember exactly what my number was. I think I gave season one like a 9, over 9 for sure, like 9.25 or maybe 9.5. I was very pleased with season one. And so, you know, for me, I am going down a bit here on this season, but also like it's hard to go up from season one, to put it, you know, in that kind of perspective. But
yeah,
I it's a very different feel for this season, for this game, and therefore the season also along with it. There were, you know, like the first season, the first game was bleak, but it had like moments of like it's this hero's journey, and there's like successes along the way, and there's like big moments that make you cheer. In this game, it's not best way to describe it. It's not a hero's journey. It is bleak most of the time, and it honestly it just gets bleaker.
Oh.
So I think that they will I think they'll stay true to the story of the game, going forward through the remainder of the story here into season 3. It will be interesting to see how the reception is, because I even for me, having enjoyed the second game tremendously, and seeing so much of this show this season mirroring the game, I didn't enjoy this season as much as season 1. And I think part of that is, while I do really appreciate what Bella Ramsey is doing, I don't connect with or enjoy her Ellie as much as the Ellie in the game. So I think that kind of coming back to the point that you made about losing Pedro in this, uh, might be a big factor. It certainly is some sort of factor for me here, and maybe going forward. We'll see how season 3 turns out. For me, I'm going to give this. I actually haven't thought of a number. I had a number kind of floating. I'll 8.25. I enjoyed it. I appreciated it, but it wasn't as good as season 1. So,
yeah, 7.68.
Okay.
Overall.
And I suppose just a brief discussion about seasons going forward. So, like, I know they, obviously we've talked about season 3. They're already working on season 3. It's going to cover the remainder of the game that they haven't covered so far. And like you could mention, Cody, there is a rumor of them talking about season 4. I've also heard showrunner Craig Mazin has stated straight out that he doesn't want the show to outpace the games. So unless they found a way to break up the remainder of the game into 2 more seasons, I'm guessing they probably won't do a season 4, but we'll see. And I don't think they have any, to my knowledge, they aren't working on another game right now. So
yeah, I don't remember hearing that.
Yeah, okay. So I wouldn't expect there to be more game story to tell beyond this next season.
But I think they're just doing a remake with Mario as Pedro Pascal's character. The Nintendo exclusive. It's gonna be great.
All of a sudden, his SNL skit of the post-apocalyptic Mario Kart appears.
Yeah, that came in my head too. I don't have. I didn't pull up like ratings for this season on like Rotten Tomatoes or anything. But I do have some scores from IMDb, because I found this image earlier today, where it essentially gives the IMDb rating like per episode, and like the first season was very good overall. Like everything was over 8, except for one episode. And in this season 2, we only have 2 episodes over an 8 on IMDb. So it seems pretty telling, for other viewers as well. They seem to be kind of like in the same boat we are. But yeah, I guess that's it. Do we I know this is going to, because we're recording this, I don't know how it's going to land as far as like release, but is there anything you want to talk about, like what's coming up?
Yeah,
we're going to be doing
it's just rearranging
coming up at some point here.
Yeah, rearranging a couple here. So this actually will drop on Monday. So this will be coming out right away. And then I think we have Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning up after that. And then we have Lorelei and the Laser Eyes. And then I think we will finally subject ourselves to Andor Season 2 after that.
Yeah, I got a few episodes of that to watch yet, but sounds like I got some time.
I've only watched 3 still, because my wife claimed she was going to start watching them and has since started 2 other shows. But that's neither here nor there.
Didn't you learn season 1? If you don't watch or you can't swim, you just leave them behind.
I learned a lot of things in season 1, Dan. You weren't around to hear me vent about them, though. Oh, goodness.
All right. Well, with that, I guess that wraps us up. I'm Brett, and again, we've had Cody and Dan here with us, and this has been the Fond Pod, friends occasionally not disagreeing, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.